Hello everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Kira. I am your host, and we are so excited to have you here for our third episode in our spiritual growth series. So, we have been taking this entire month to dive into spiritual growth. For those of you who are brand new to us, we are a mentorship platform that a company that you are associated with, whether you're going to school with them or you work with them, or maybe um, it's a part of your healthcare package, has there's some sort of partnership going on with Life Guides where you have access to our mentors who are here to help you navigate all areas of life. I feel like sometimes when we look at mentorship or coaching, we look at it from the perspective of business or big life choices like moving or changing a career. And those are all areas that we support in Life Guides, but we also support with spiritual growth, helping you manage stress and anxiety, teaching you how to sleep and hydrate better, how to maintain and have healthier personal relationships, interpersonal relationships, professional relationships. We help with financial well-being. We're not financial coaches, but we can give you guidance and support. So we're so excited to be here with you. There are some names that seem brand new. So if you're new here, you're welcome to drop 111 in the chat. If you have been here for a while, you can drop 222 in the chat. And we are so excited to dive in. So today's session is really exciting. We're talking about how to practice spirituality for self-care. And the reason why we're doing spiritual growth this month is because it's one of the topics that you all most book your sessions with our mentors for. So we have two ways that you can connect with us. The first way is our events here, where I bring our guides and mentors to the forefront of the conversation so you can start to build a relationship with them and see, wow, okay, one, that's an area of life that I would absolutely love support and growth in. And two, this is a person that I want to help me with that. We are about 60% likely to achieve our goals alone. We're about 90+% likely to achieve our goals when we have accountability and support along the journey. So that is the whole premise of Life Guides and what we do. And it's really fun because we see that about 74% of Americans do have a desire to grow spiritually, and there doesn't have to be a huge disconnect between spirituality and religion. For a lot of people, they can coincide together. For some people, they're separate. But spirituality is more of that connection to yourself, your own wisdom that lives inside of you that is bigger than this world that we see right now in the momentary decisions that we make. A lot of us have an intuition that we're connected with where we realize, okay, I've got my own answers within myself. Or we have something bigger that we believe in, whether it's the universe or our ancestors, or for some of you, it's God and religion. There's some sort of deeper meaning that we're finding through spirituality, and it's really exciting that we get to share this with you. And today's conversation is specifically about practicing spirituality for self-care. And about 30% of Americans practice self-care daily. So we're looking at about a third of the population, which I think is relatively good. But I also think that it's also really important to maybe bring that number up a little bit. So drop 333 in the chat if you practice self-care. And if you're feeling extra crazy, you can also drop in the chat maybe what some of your self-care practices are. For me, one of my most important ones, and one that I feel like is just truly going to take a whole entire lifetime to really solidify and just have like solid inside of me, is self-love. There are some seasons where it's just so easy. There are other seasons, like I'm in a grieving period right now. One of my dogs is no longer with me. Oh my gosh. It's been a little bit harder. And I'm realizing, oh, I'm so much harder on myself because there's this grief sitting heavy inside of me, and that grief doesn't need to sit heavy. No, I'm sorry. That grief can always sit heavy inside me, but that heavy grief doesn't mean that I don't need to love myself. It means to love myself even more. It means to have patience with myself even more. It means to show up with myself even more. So hopefully today's session can shed some light on yourself of maybe what are some of the places where you can practice a little bit more self-love. Maybe where are the places that you're already doing it that maybe you're aware of or weren't aware of, and what are the ways that we can make it more fun, more inspiring, and have it be something that becomes a daily practice for you. And we have Brandy in the chat. Journaling, long hot baths. Oh my gosh, I forgot how much I love long hot baths. Thank you for that reminder. Getting my favorite drink and snack at the store and having a parking lot relax sesh. I love that so much. Well, we are so excited. I've got the wonderful Luz here with us. She has been with us for a few sessions, and today she is here with us specifically to talk about self-care. So she's one of our guides at Life Guides. She's someone that you can schedule a call with in regards to spiritual growth, or if there are many other topics she supports with as well. But her superpower is guiding others to rise from life's storms with resilience, gratitude, and renewed hope. So, Luz, thank you so much for being here. We are overjoyed to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about you, your spiritual journey, and where you're at now with your spiritual journey?
Hey Kira, you just always so great to be here with you in our community. I love this space. It's so important for all of us. Um, my journey, and before I delve into that, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know it's harrowing, and yes, you're doing great. Hold your grief, but also start letting it go gradually. And call up on your pet. I know they're watching over you. Um, for me, obviously, like for us, for many of us, the journey into spirituality comes with pain. It doesn't have to be, but for some reason, our human nature gets us to be into a search for something great within us when we are in pain and suffering. And that was my situation too, or my case too. I come from a very religious family, a very religious background in Latin America that is like super strong. And even though I had, you would think, because I grew up in a religion, that my spirituality and my connection will be awesome from the beginning. But it was so based in fear that I felt like I was definitely and completely unworthy. So when I really needed or wanted something, I would call my mom. And my mom will make a prayer, or I don't know what she would do. I want to assume it was a prayer. And like that, it will happen. So when she died, I felt like that connection, that link was completely lost, that I was not going to know what to do. And that's when I started searching and trying to figure out where can I find this? And she would show up with me in dreams and help my hand for some of that period. And sometimes she still will show up and I'll hear her voice when I'm distracted, calling my name to bring me back into place. And right now, after that search for someone else to hold me and bring me into connection with spirits, I realized, I learned that the connection is always with us. We don't need anything, just this. Just our body is an antenna that connects to that vast universe and that power that is within us. We were created with power. We are powerful creatures. We are creatures of light and love. Whether our brain can understand that or not, that is our truth. And that's where I am today. I struggle in my, off and on sometimes, but like we were talking before, I'll feel off, completely off when I'm not in this daily practice, even if it's just for a second.
It's so true. And I feel like having this conversation around spirituality for self-care is really important because self-care is a huge part of our lives. And I think sometimes we see it as a negotiable thing. We get told like work hard, play later. Um, just so much and stress has been normalized and urgency culture has been normalized and
Yes.
productivity has been normalized that we've looked at self-care as a luxury, but self-care isn't a luxury. And if any of you have ever been ill or been around people who have been ill, you realize that it takes a lot of work to get back to a place of homeostasis. But if you're
Yeah.
working to maintain that on a regular basis, then hopefully you're in a place of equilibrium. And this can be mentally, where you have a little bit more mental fortitude every day. This past week, I was so stressed, and a friend was like, "What do you have to be stressed about?" And it wasn't being condescending. They were just genuinely asking, and I was like, "Not really anything." And then I realized, oh, I haven't been sleeping as much. I've been running and going and doing, and it's a sign to me if I'm starting to get stressed. Okay, time to prioritize self-care, time to do a little bit less. Your
Yeah.
self-care can also reflect your emotions, your mental state, your
Yeah.
physical state, your spiritual state. All of it is a part of your self-care journey. So, Luz, as we're talking about practicing spirituality for self-care, why I just shared a little bit, but can you take us into the deeper layers of why it's important to practice self-care and especially in the harder times of life?
Just like you were saying, that practice brings us back onto the core of who we are, and that the answers are within us. So when you're in a hard situation, you look outside of you. What can I do? Like it doesn't ever occur to you or to us or to me to say, okay, what would I do? What am I comfortable doing? We just take action sometimes recklessly because we're trying to solve something out of the stress, just the stress response, because that's what we are conditioned to do, and that's how we are raised, especially for us. Well, both genders have this weight on our shoulders. Male is supposed to do the strength and be strong and do this and go through and jump through hoops and jump to the mountains. And the female is supposed to nurture and support, and that doesn't always work that way. And we can both be in both powers. We just need to reach out within ourselves. The self care for through spirituality, what it does is brings you back, bring all those parts of you that are scattered into your center so that you can be whole and full when you need to respond for this crisis. Instead of jumping to the immediate, to take that time to say, okay, what is it really? Can I? Sometimes we don't need to do anything, and we're over there running around like chickens with our head cut off because we're trying to do something that we really didn't need to do in the first place. This is not my task. You take care of it, even if it's you take care of it. And that is the when we show up like that, we show up with compassion for us and others, with unconditional love for us and others. Self care, like you said, is important for others too, because when you take care of you, you can take care of others. It is almost impossible to take care of others when you're not taking care of yourself, because eventually that brews stuff we don't want, like resentment, anger, exhaustion, and so being able to have that spirit, that moment to connect with our spirit, because you're not connecting to anything else. You can if you want to go further, further and further and further, but that's part of your spirit too. But you're connecting with your spirit. You're remembering that you're not this. This is just a pretty thing we're wearing, but we are. Our light is inside. It shines through us, but it's within us, and that's help us also be detached from a supposed outcome that we're expecting and be able to go where life is trying to take us.
I feel like we can find a lot of purpose through our
Yeah,
spirituality practices and our self-care. My
right.
best friend is dating a man who just came in remission from cancer. And they dated very shortly before his cancer diagnosis, and then they reconnected after the cancer diagnosis. And it was so interesting to hear how different this man was because when you're faced with the morality of this life, the fact that death is 100% inevitable, but we
Right.
really forget that it's inevitable. We think that tomorrow is guaranteed. I do my very best to ensure that tomorrow is guaranteed, and that is why I practice so much self-care and why I ensure there's not a lot of stress in my life and why I take care of things hopefully very soon after they arrive into my life because I understand that there are circumstances that are in my control and circumstances that are out of my control, and those that are within my control, I'm going to do my best towards. But speaking of, a spiritual practice through the hard times, this man is entirely different now. He understands that life is fragile and that I mean, he has multiple successful businesses and they're all running more efficiently than they ever were beforehand because instead of being stressed and instead of being angry and instead of feeling all this pressure from his businesses, now he has gratitude. Now he looks
Yeah.
at the sun rising and he's so much happier. And he's like, wow, this man cries like 5 times a day because of how grateful he is
No, no.
about life. It's the sweetest thing ever. And
Happy tears.
I know, exactly. It's like he's so full of love and so full of understanding of the fact that um he gets another chance. And now he's like, I want to do it so differently. And I want to do it around people I love. And I don't want stress to run my life and I don't want pressure to run my life. And that matters. So
More than you know.
I
I
know.
mean, just like you're saying that, it goes to like from the very small, this is huge. This is a giant blessing and beautiful that he can see it for what it is. But it's so simple as the other day I was going somewhere. We had an appointment and we had to make a stop and we were going late and I was going crazy like we are going to be so late. And my daughter in the back seat goes, Mom, it's going to be okay in the end. And I said, You're right. You're right. Uh, Humans just tend to worry. We got to the appointment. We apologized. So sorry that we're late. The other person said, Thank you for showing up. That was it. There was no nothing. The other person wasn't stressed. There was no nothing that I needed to be worried about. And it took my child that has seen me in many situations to remind me. But that's what I could have just gone off on her, but I just took that moment to stop and get back to myself and say, okay, yes, it's true. We're going to be all right. It's going to be okay. No hurry, no rush. We didn't speak, nothing. It's just everything turns out okay in the end.
It's a reminder too that self-care is a legacy. Your self-care will impact others. The way I live my life inspires people all of the time. I don't have children yet,
Yeah.
but they're like my mom, it's been many years of me being on my journey. Now she's like making her teas and she's like,
Oh,
she used to be the one who she would work like 50, 60 hours a week and then have her phone
oh,
on 24/7. She doesn't have a job that requires that of her, but she took all of that pressure on because she felt that she had this guilt that if I didn't do everything, then they would fire me or whatever. And
mhm.
I'm like, Mom, I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. And now it's been a few years and she's like, someone else has got it. Everything's fine. And you know
Yeah.
what? Everything is running perfectly fine. And this is the legacy too, is your self-care has been transferred and transformed through your daughter as well. So now she gets to live a life longer of self-care and of the realization that
Mhm.
yes, there are things within my control. There are also things out of my control. Once you're ready running late, it's out of your control. And
Mhm.
rushing is not worth the potential danger that you could put others in. And being
Mhm.
stressed isn't going to necessarily get you there faster. It's just going to get you there angrier,
It's not
which
gonna
you
make
don't
anything
necessarily.
better. And my
Exactly.
mom used to say, when you're running late, you're being protected from something. And sometimes I forget, you know, I'm human.
Exactly. And I agree with that. I feel like even if I take a wrong turn or miss an exit, a lot of people get really stressed about that. And I'm like, I
Mhm.
wasn't supposed to be on the exit. I'll get there 5 minutes later. Everything's fine. And it's
Yeah, that's
life.
right.
So,
Yes.
I feel like I want to talk a little bit maybe about what are some of the reasons that people would be seeking out their spiritual journey because we're talking about spiritual growth this month and I want people to see like, oh, maybe this is where I'm at or maybe they're like, maybe I've already been on this journey for a little bit.
Um, a lot of times, like I said before, it's pain, something big that happens that rattle you to your bones. But a lot of times it's just because you feel like something's missing. You feel isolated, you're foggy, distracted, you can't find your way, you're trying to make something happen and they just don't for some reason. And sometimes that is signs of there's a disconnect with what you really want. So you're trying to make something happen, but that's not it. That's not where you're going. That is not really what you want, even though it seems like it's what you're supposed to have. We get a lot of that in our environment. And more recently, I feel like there's a lot of isolation and separation. And I think spirit reminds us that we are all a piece of the same fabric. We're not even stitched apart. We're the same fabric. And that brings back the peace and the feeling like I'm not alone. I can do more than what I think I'm capable of just because of that. But that's the ending of the reason for the search, not the search. And it's more like you say, it's an everyday thing. That's self-love, that's growth, and loving yourself unconditionally means unconditionally. It doesn't mean I'm gonna love myself today because I did my hair good. I'm gonna love
Mhm.
myself today because I'm here. I am here. I am here. I am here. That's that's it.
That is so beautiful and such a good reminder for all of us. And, you know, a lot of my stresses this past week have been just because I felt like I was running out of time. And I'm like, I don't have enough time for all of the things. But what I realized was I was just exhausted. I was really tired and I kept pushing myself. And even yesterday, I took the day completely to myself to do nothing. And I was stressed about doing nothing. I'm like, Kira. We can't do this. We can't be stressed about doing nothing on the day that we chose to do nothing. Well, it was a domestic day that I chose, and I was like, I want to do all these house chores, but really, I sat on the couch and
Oh,
cuddled my dog and read a book. And I've been on a spiritual journey for gosh, maybe like 11 years, and it's one of those lifelong journeys. Some
mhm.
seasons you're in it and you're like, "Oh, I really got this." And there are other seasons where you're like, "I may be on a slight detour, but I'll be back."
No, I don't got it.
Exactly. And I feel like, a lot of people do feel like they're running out of time. A lot of
Mhm.
people feel like they don't have time for self-care. They don't have time for spirituality. They don't have time to take care of themselves. So what are some of those practices that can help them focus on their self-care that are quick and easy, but also really effective?
So there was somebody on the chat that made a list of really good, easy ones that you do every day. Just taking a shower or a bath, if it doesn't even have to be long, but if you are actually there taking the shower versus taking the shower but thinking I have to thaw the chicken that I forgot to do last night, or I had to go do my homework, or I had to do my work, really taking a shower, enjoying the water running through your body, just feeling that sensation of the soap, the fragrance that you like, all of that good stuff brings you here into that moment. It's being in here, in your power, in the present moment. That's all you got. Yesterday already went, and the future is not even here. And when it gets here, guess what? It's no longer the future, it's the present. So there's no reason to be split in between places. Just being here is that show of connection with your spirit. Just remembering, just washing the day away and getting back to yourself. But something there's a couple of them that I have. Oh my, there's a list that I keep up. But there's the first one in the morning. Just stretch before you get up to turn off that alarm. Take a deep breath and stretch your full body and giving thanks for being here. I woke up. I'm so thankful. I get another chance to make a great day, whatever that is. Whatever you thought about that day, it doesn't matter. You're here. You could have, it's a magical ensemble that happens while we're sleeping that we get to wake up in the morning. And another one that you can do, and you can do that anywhere too. Nobody's going to prevent you from stretching. If you're feeling like you're compressed, this just bring out your whole self. Okay, I'm here and planted. But breathing is so important and we take it for granted. The body does it automatically, but if you give the body some directive on how to breathe, you'll see such a big difference. For me, like when I started to learn about this breath work, I realized that I breathe backwards, like I was taking in without expanding, and that I also don't breathe when I'm under stress. So I'm holding my breath, like bracing myself for impact when there's nothing going on. Even driving, I'll be doing that, just holding on for dear life. So in that moment, just like I did a minute ago. Just take a deep breath. If you want to do it with me, you're welcome. Deep breath, about a 4 count time. Full breath, a real breath. Don't just expand. Forget about the pants. If they're not stretchy, just open the button and just let the air come in and feel your whole body. And expand your shoulders towards the back because that opens the space for the lungs on the top of the lungs that barely get to breathe sometimes. And then let it out slow as you can. You can join with the sigh. Ah, and let your body, let that spirit drop in. Just gentle breath and remind yourself, I am here. I am here. I am here. I know who I am. I know what I am, and I know how I serve. I am the soul, a pure being of energy and light. I am connected, guided, loved, and protected. I am home. Stay there for as long as you can or you want. But when you're ready, wiggle them fingers and them toes and open your eyes. You get to carry these with you all day long. And when it feels like it's lacking, do it again. Nobody's gonna tell you not to. Do it again. If they tell you, just tell them, join me for a second, you'll see a difference. If you get to do these, start with three breaths because you might get a little dizzy if you do those breaths too much. But 12 times just completely brings that connection to you. About 3 times is good. 12 times is great. So you can do that right before bed and it puts you right in the most wonderful sleep you've had in a while.
Ah, thank you so much. I feel like your energy changed absolutely through that. I think mine might have as well. I might be a little,
Yes,
I feel
yes, you get that
definitely feel a
peace.
lot more peaceful. Um, So, thank you so much for your wisdom, Luz. I'm dropping in the chat. Luz gave us a lot of resources that could potentially help you outside of this
Yes,
session. There's an Eckhart Tolle website for practicing the power of now. There are some books, some tiny habits, and then even some anchoring into the light practices as well. So there's a lot that's there for you. And remember, this isn't a journey that you necessarily have to do alone. We didn't necessarily talk about community, even though it was on our topic of things to do, but having a support system, having people who are into similar things that you are and have a similar
yes,
why is so important. And that can help you feel more grounded and also feel supported and feel like, a lot of times that we feel alone, it's because there's something deeper in us that's desiring to be connected to others. And this is a great place
yes.
to make that connection. So we will see you next week. We have our final Motivational Monday for the month in spiritual growth, and the topic is going to be how to grow from life's challenges with Tatiana. And then next month, we're going to be talking about living your purpose. So we'll be diving
Wonderful.
in. We're so excited to keep having these conversations. There is a survey that pops up at the end. I love all the hearts you all are sending. It's amazing.
Yay,
If you'd
thank
like to
you. Connect to
leave
your
us,
guides.
absolutely connect to your guide. If you'd like to leave any love letters for Luz, I will make sure that they're sent to her. There's a survey that pops up at the end, and I'm going to drop her profile in the chat once more. If you felt connected to her and you feel like this is someone who you want to walk alongside you on your journey, she is here for you and here to support you. Thank you so much, Luz, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.